We're talking about what love is. What is love really? There's a question I always like to ask at the beginning. What makes a person like me, for example, leave his country, his homeland, invest his whole self in some dream that maybe has a 99% chance of coming true? Or what makes a person to push himself to the limit? Yes, excuse the expression, in the army, hoping maybe he'll become a pilot. Most people don't even manage to become pilots. 1 out of thousands might become a fighter pilot. Most likely along the way he'll drop out. Maybe at best he'll become a helicopter pilot. What makes a person go through so much just for the chance that maybe he'll become a millionaire? He pushes himself to the limit in business, in the stock market, not sleeping for days and nights. Or a person who studies so much because he wants to become a professor and he invests his whole life in it. What? Is there a motive, a common denominator for all of these? There is a vision. There is a vision. The vision, yes. The desire for what? It's a challenge. Aspiration for what? To know that he wants success. Why? Why? I want to know why he does it. It's an aspiration, right? It's his hope. It's a hope. Why is that his hope? Maybe he wants to be exceptional. He's trying to go deeper. He wants to be exceptional. Why? He's not happy. He's looking for something to act upon. He's happy. No, it's adventures. So I'll tell you something. You're all saying correct things, all of you. What I'm challenging, I'm not just challenging for the sake of creating some clever debate or anything like that. Really, this is a question I also thought about, and it led me on the path I took. For example, but the conclusion I reached is that everything you're saying is true. A person is willing to tear himself apart to become famous, to have money. He wants to be a model. He wants to be a singer. He wants to be a pilot. But all of this has one root, and that is love. How did John Lennon put it? All we need is love. Love is all we need. There is no story without love, no song without a village in the imagination, no movie without a love story, no book without a love story in it. There's no such thing except for politics. But really, there's no such thing. Why? Because every person in the world, pay attention, this is a significant point in our lives. It's really worth it for us to consider this. Every person in the world, whether Jewish or not Jewish, at the root of his soul, he is searching, as Jonano said, and I repeat, I was his messenger, just to love and be loved in return. He wants to love and to be loved. Everyone in the world. That's why he goes on. He is always searching for a partner, for someone to be with. And even when people get divorced or unfortunately cheat, still, he never just sits alone on the sidelines. He immediately goes back to look for her, and she goes back to look for him. Why? Because it is not good for man to be alone. That's how the Holy One, blessed be He, created him. We are a part of God above, every person in the world. And the Holy Zohar says, yes, now I'm sharing with you things I discovered after I returned to faith. It says that this entire entity called God. I don't know if you've ever seen people who experience clinical death, where the soul left the body, and they describe being drawn into a white tunnel, and everyone says they felt surrounded by love, so much so that they didn't want to come back to this world. Why? Because the Holy Zohar says that this entire entity called God is all love. Just as we say in Song of Songs, and His banner over me is love. Everything is love. Now each of us is a part of God above. They took a spark of your soul, yours and yours, and decided to bring it into this world for a series of journeys. He has rectifications he needs to do. 50, 60 years, 100 years, 200 years, God willing, even greater. That's it. He has his own rectifications. Now this soul was drawn out from the quarry, the place that is all love. And suddenly he comes into this world. Now a baby, wow. Now besides the physical body needing nutritious food, he also deeply needs his mother to give him that essential love and to kiss him tenderly. Isn't that absolutely right? He really needs it. And after he grows up a bit more, whenever mom and dad are on the phone, he causes trouble, he acts out at home. Why? He's alone because he wants love, attention, he's missing it. Of course it's missing, but they're on the phone, so he does whatever he can to get it. After he grows up, he thinks, you know how I'll get the subconsciously, right? It's not that he's planning it, it's subconscious, the soul wants it. How will I get love? To love and be loved in return. If I have a scooter, I'll show off in the neighborhood and everyone will look at me. That's what he thinks, right? He thinks that's what will get it for him. But that's not it. And then he grows up a bit more. He says, you know what? If I have a BMW, I don't know what's in style these days. I'll do burnouts because he saw it in Greece. That's how I used to live. What I'm telling you is from my own life experience. That's how I was. I imagined I was John Travolta. I used to walk around with gel like this. I don't have the Macarena here. Otherwise, I'd show you pictures of, if there was time, there's a Macarena here. We waited for the time. And then he thinks that's what's going to get him fans, fangirls. He'll do burnouts and all that. But that's not it. And then he grows up. And he grows up on what they show him in the media. That the reality show star is sitting on the beach, smiling with a few fangirls, having a good time. And she grows up seeing the model smiling at the camera and thinking, I'm happy, life is good. Me, people love me, I'm happy, I'm having fun. Or he sees the bank manager smiling all the way to the bank, taking out millions. So he says, that's what will bring it. That's what will bring it. So I was one of those who chased the dream all the way to the end. Most people say it's hard, they give up, so let me just be an ordinary man. I was one of those who went all the way. I didn't care about anyone. I was going to do it no matter what, and my mom too. And then I got there and I met a model, a successful one. I'm not talking about those who don't make it, those who don't succeed at all, but about one who did succeed. And every day she would take antidepressants. Once I even called to see how she was doing and she was dying. She had taken pills to commit suicide. I took her to the hospital. I saved her at the last moment. Leonardo DiCaprio, during the time we were together, when he was successful, when he did Titanic, I told this story many times. Every evening we would go out, dinner at a restaurant, then head to a club, to the VIP section with a bottle of champagne. The guy would drink and drink and drink until he collapsed on the floor. We had to drag him back to the apartment. And I would sit there thinking to myself, wait, if a person is happy and content, does he need to drink until he collapses on the floor? 99% of successful people use drugs. If someone is happy and doing well, do they need to be on drugs? Is he escaping from reality? If that model, the successful one, I'm not talking about those who aren't successful, if she's happy, look, she's reached the peak of her dreams, then why does she take medication for depression? And then I discovered that all those people who pose on magazine covers with a smile, they run afterwards to take antidepressants. This is something they don't explain. All those people who say on Dumb Vision that they're happy and cheerful and rich, why do I say it like that? Not because Rabbi Yonam Yitzhak calls it dumb vision, but because it's lies. They're lying to us. They show them looking happy, cheerful. No one reveals that afterwards they go home and cry, miserable. Why are they miserable? Even more than regular people. Because they, the average housewife or the ordinary person, even if they haven't achieved that dream, they always have some dream on the side. Maybe I could have been. If only I were Rothschild, maybe once I would have been. So he lives his ordinary life and always has that dream. Yes, that's what keeps him going. But those who made it, the Madonnas of the world, they have nowhere left to dream. She's already made it, she's done it, and still she doesn't feel happy. Maybe honesty. She doesn't feel loved, that she loves and is loved. She doesn't feel that. And where can she dream? What can she aspire to? She's already there. He's already made money, he's already famous. There's nothing left for him to draw from. That's why the rate of addictions is highest among them. The rate of drug use is also highest among them. From here, let's get to our topic. So what is love? Everyone wants to love and be loved. Everyone. I'll tell you a little story, and maybe from that we'll get a tiny glimpse of what love is. Yes, I'll say it again. Everything I tell you is something I went through, I experienced. I always like to stand, to learn, to observe, to examine things. Because usually a person lives according to the information he's been given, what he's received from the media or from books. I used to devour books like a bookworm. Already at the age of 7 or 8, I finished all the Hassamba books. And there were about 40 volumes in a week. In a week. Whatever moved, I would read. What moves? Who is Roman? Romantic science fiction. Tarazan. Science books by experts. At the same time, a romantic novel of domestic systems. Everything. I read everything that moved. There was a mother, that she had 7 children who would be healthy until they were 110. 6 of these children were excellent, successful, straight A's in school, perfect behavior, everything. But very unfortunately, one of her children, the one right in the middle, was born with some quite significant physical challenges. She had to take him to doctors all the time, from birth. She had to change his diapers until he was 7 or 8, hire private tutors for him, do physical therapy with him, because he was also a bit limited in his hands. In short, a big problem. All these things, this problem, delayed many things in her life. Financial expenses, worries, troubles. Over the years, let's take 10 years from the moment this disabled child was born. They take this mother and examine her, ask her, for which of your children do you feel the strongest love? Out of all the children. For whom will she have the most? For the disabled one. For the disabled one. Why? But because of him, she has worries, she has financial expenses, but she invests all her love in him. Investment is love. That is, it's very much so. We see here a key statement. Look, everyone knows this, it's obvious, but no one really internalizes it at all. What is love? Do you want to love someone? Invest in them. And that's exactly the opposite of what we've been taught. In the modern world, in the past, it was different. My mother and father tell me that they grew up in a home where, from a very young age, they had to invest themselves in the family and help with making a living, help with everything, and actually they had a broader sense, more love for their parents, siblings, and family. You see, in this day and age, the message you often get, everyone here and every single person who wants, God willing, to eventually get married, when they are out there looking for their life partner, what exactly is the very first thing that they think about first of all? What will I get out of her? What will I get out of her? And that's the opposite of our formula. If you want to love, you need to think about how much you need to invest. The more you have to invest, the more love you will have. Now, we've seen this proven. But in our modern world, we've been taught that to invest or to give is to be a sucker. What Judaism calls kindness, today in the modern world, they call being a sucker. That's the problem. Because if I don't get something out of it, one day I was at some course, and there was a woman there who had just gotten married the day before, a young woman, and this was a course in geopolitics and philosophy. So the day after her wedding, she comes to the course, and she's already talking to everyone saying, what, am I a sucker? If he doesn't do this and that for me, he's wasting his time. You just got married yesterday. She's already talking like that. She's starting her married life. What are marriage and married life? Marriage means it's a lifelong commitment, or at least it's supposed to be that way. She's about to build a lifelong partnership, and she's already starting off on the wrong foot, heading in the opposite direction. It's not her fault. If he doesn't give me this and that, it's not worth his time. Meaning it's conditional. Conditional on what am I going to get? She will never unite this couple. She'll only do it for herself. Exactly. Because if a person doesn't come in from the start ready to invest in their marriage or even in the family, with the kids, in everything, even at work. If someone comes to work from the outset thinking, what am I going to get out of this job? He won't love the job. Same goes for the army. For example, I did what they call, as they say, get through the tough times with a good attitude. People come to the army with a bad attitude, so their whole 3 years are miserable. But if someone comes in from the start thinking, what can I contribute here? All his years are like paradise. He enjoys himself. That's what I did. I celebrated, I enjoyed every moment in the army. And it's the same with everything, even in high school, everything I did in life, I came with that approach. I'm here now, so let's invest myself wherever I am, in this environment, in this framework. And then you love the place more, you enjoy it more. And we learn this too, right? Anyway, I basically lived my whole life with those heavy glasses on my face, you know? It was just how things were back then. The glasses that made me see love as lust. Woodstock, the love festival, what was it really? A festival of lust? That's not love? They taught us what love is. If there's some physical aspect to it, that's a lie. Love is a profound spiritual essence. It's something truly eternal. It's something that transcends the physical world we're used to. That's why it is a tragic irony that there has never been a generation with such an overwhelming abundance of it. Divorces, infidelities, and even more than that. When I came back to Israel, I opened Yedioth Aharonoth. I used to like to see what's happening in the country. I hadn't been in Israel for 13 years. I was living in the United States. A group of researchers recently conducted a very detailed survey where they sat down and asked a large group of people, specifically couples who have been together for a long time. They asked them this question: if we were to take you back 40 years before your wedding day, how many of you would truly be willing to choose to marry that exact same spouse all over again? Do you know what the results of the survey were? I didn't say what it was. 80% said no. That means that 80% of those who were still together, who stayed, are not happy. No, I'm not talking now about whether it's true or false. They're not happy. They're not happy. There's no love. Because if there was love, they would have said, yes, we would want to marry the same spouse again. So what happens? So this brings us to the same point we've been talking about until now. We live in a materialistic generation, a generation that says, eat and drink, for tomorrow we die. Grab as much as you possibly can. And it doesn't teach you the value of how to invest, to give back, and to care for others. If I don't get something, I'm a sucker. And that's exactly the opposite of love. That's why we reach a situation. So if we really want to achieve the opposite now, to truly love and be loved in return, we have to follow this formula that the Creator of the world actually embedded within us. We are, of course, part of it. Whether we want to or not, whether you believe or not, whether you are religious or secular, you can't escape it. You are the product of someone who created you. And He created you in the image of God. He made man just a little lower than God. You are like Him. Let's take a moment to look at this. Yes, I'm not coming from a religious angle, but just so we can understand how to navigate our way toward the goal. Let's take a moment to look. What is the Holy One? Blessed be He. Does He need anything from us? No. Does He get anything from us? Food? Money? Honor? Does He get anything out of it? No. Nothing. In fact, the sages also say, the Holy One, blessed be He, only gives. He gives us life. He gives us air to breathe, gives us natural resources, gives rain in its season, gives us money, a livelihood. No, well, someone who doesn't believe says it's from nature or whatever. Let's go according to someone who doesn't believe. He gives us natural resources, gives us a working heart, gives us a digestive system. The entire human body is an unbelievable wonder. Invent a mixer where whatever you put in it produces milk for you. Is there such a mixer in the world? When does milk come out? when it's time to feed the newborn baby. When it's not needed, no milk comes out. Take a mixer, a cow, give her grass, give her minerals, give her everything, and she produces milk. How is such a thing possible? Can anyone invent something like that? Today, with all the technology, can you invent such a mixer? Put in grass, waste, anything, and out comes healthy, nutritious milk. A wonder, and so on. You could spend days, even whole months, just on the wonders of creation. And as we saw earlier and also talked about, people who experienced clinical death reported that they were in a place where everyone felt surrounded by love. That means that the Holy One, blessed be He, is all love. And what does He do? What does He do to express that love? He gives. So if a person wants to feel love, and it's up to him, what's the conclusion? He needs to think, how can I give even more? That's why the sages say, a person. When is a person truly called a person? Adam, the first man, when was he called Adam? When did he call their name Adam? When he brought him Eve. Then it is written, and he called their name Adam. A man without a woman or a woman without a man is still not a complete person. He is not his true self. Why? He is half a body. I'm talking now about our topic. He is half a body. You know, by the way, that Adam and Eve were created in the same body. According to the Holy Zohar, one side was female, one side was male. It was actually one body. They were like Siamese twins. He cut them and separated them. Why? So that they would always strive to return and become one body again. That is the goal. But why, when Adam and Eve are not together, are they still not a complete person? For the same reason. Because the moment a person, this happens to everyone. People, when someone is used to being alone for a long, long time, then they get married. Suddenly there are nerves, shouting, friction. When I was alone, I didn't have so many problems like this. It's all because of you, all because of you. When I was alone, when I was living at home with my parents, everything went smoothly. Suddenly they're shouting, suddenly there are arguments. Who's to blame? You're to blame. Because the moment you came into the picture, there were nerves. You're to blame. The moment you came into the picture, I started getting irritable. I was always so calm, so mellow, so gentle. How is that? How is that? The root of this, we need to ask, why did a person come into this world? People will say, leave it. Forget about Torah and Judaism right now. No, it's very important to know this. Because based on this, we'll know what love is and why we need to attain love. So this is a lecture in itself, right? One that could go on for hours and hours. I'm just going to touch on it briefly, just a little bit. Why did a person come into this world? Our sages say, as well as the Maharal of Vilna, the Rambam, and the Holy Zohar, a person comes into this world to correct his character traits and nothing more. To cleave to the attributes of the Holy One, blessed be He. What does it mean to be compassionate? You too should be compassionate. What does it mean to be gracious? You too should be gracious, right? We say, yeah, God is compassionate and gracious, candle of mercy. After that, truly to let go, to be merciful, to do acts of kindness. How does one correct his character traits? He gave him a counterpart, a wife. And for her as well, He gave her him. Now that you are living together, you must learn to navigate life through this process by humbling yourself, by willingly giving in, by choosing not to push back, by lowering your head, and by truly being humble in your daily life. And by her doing the same, by humbling herself. Think about how I can give to her, and you think about how you can give to him, how I can let go. This way, little by little, you correct your character traits and fulfill your purpose in the world, and so does she. The same thing. That's why the Holy One, blessed be He, created in us this need not to be alone. Because if we didn't have this need, we'd just be alone. That's it. Why would I need the headache? Forget about it. Because everyone knows. Why is there such a high divorce rate? Why is there all this chaos in the world today? The family unit has really shattered into pieces all over the world because people don't want to deal with it. He doesn't have the head for it right now. She says one word to him, and right away he answers back with a counter. She gives it to him. He immediately gives it back to her. He gives it to her. She immediately gives it back to him. Your mother. They don't want to deal with it to break their bad traits. They don't want to go on the offensive. What happens from here? Gog and Magog. Our sages say the problems a person has at home are harder than the war of Gog and Magog. It's even worse when a person doesn't have peace at home. When he doesn't have mental calm at home, he is miserable. Take the richest person in the world, the most successful person in the world, yes, just as an example. He is at the peak of his career. First of all, if he doesn't have a partner, he isn't at ease. He goes looking for himself at parties just to find someone. And if he does have a partner but doesn't have peace at home, he can't sleep at night. Now take the opposite. Take a person who is broke, has no money, no career, nothing. I'm just exaggerating for the sake of the example. But he and his wife are like two lovebirds. My beloved, my love, at least he sleeps well at night. Of course, if he also had money, it would be even better. Why not? We see that the main thing, first of all, that there should be a healthy family unit, a healthy relationship, love, and that's missing. Because to achieve that, you have to invest. What comes easily goes easily. In the movies, yes, I come from the movies, I'm the movie guy, who knows better than me? They take some director, a corrupt one, because 99%, I don't want to say 100%, because every rule has its exception, of those who decide how the movies will be, the directors, the producers, they are corrupt people. He only cares about his money, lust, and how many people will respect him. He doesn't care how I change the generation, fix the generation. He's not interested. He throws in a little morality here and there. But mostly what interests him is this. And what they are sending us is, here he met her at the club, she met him, I love you, and the leaf apple he ever after, one big lie. Excuse the expression, bullshit. There is no such thing. Even the director himself is poor, having been divorced 10 times. He is the producer, as is Eli in the film, as is May in the film, smiling, I love you. She no longer sleeps with batons because of her many troubles. There is no such thing. I saw all these things, I'll tell you the truth, but I believe there is such a thing. That true love exists, like in the books, romantic, and my wife understood it too. I found it in Judaism. Why? I'll tell you why. Because Judaism taught me, invest in your partner, don't think about taking. Kindness, kindness, kindness. There is no one to take revenge on today in Judaism. Kindness. When I say Judaism, I'm not talking about religious or secular. After all, even a religious person doesn't always follow Judaism. It doesn't matter. I'm not talking about the kippah or about that. I'm talking to you about Judaism itself. About this book that was given by the creator of the world. What did it teach me? A lot of kindness. A lot of humility. A lot of modesty. How were the greatest people in the nation of Israel called Moses, the most humble of all men? The man of God, the greatest person that any human being could ever reach in stature. How was he called? The champion. The richest man? How does the Torah refer to him? The most humble of all men. That is the peak, the level a Jew or any person can reach. To lower your head, to work on your character traits. And how will he or she reach that? Through their spouse. A helpmate opposite him. Our sages say, if he merits, she is a help. If he does not merit, she is against him. In other words, in our language, if he merits, they work on their character traits, they work on giving and doing acts of kindness. A helpmate, brother, a couple like doves, may his name be praised. All day long you hear them cooing in the city. If he does not merit, it's like Gog and Magog. They're chirping in the air. It's a waste of time. And you can't reach it. If you say God, he'll say God back to me. It takes two to tango. It takes two to have a war. It takes two to argue. For example, let's take again from the Torah. They say, how do we refer to a dispute? They say, don't get involved in a dispute like Korach and his assembly. Why don't they say Korach and Moshe? After all, who did Korach go up against? Who did he oppose? Moshe. But Moshe didn't answer him. He didn't get into an argument with him. The moment only one side argues and the other side is like a brick wall, there's no argument, there's no dispute, there's no fight, there's no war. He has no one to quarrel with. He has no one to quarrel with. He doesn't, it's over, the quarrel is finished. The problem is that everyone says, oh, why should I be the one to give in? And she says, why should I give in? Who's going to be the first to be a man? To say, you know what? Let her go ahead. Let her say whatever she wants. And that's what we weren't taught. That's what we weren't taught in this permissive, modern, contemporary world. Even I used to be like that. If someone lowers their head, they're a sucker. What does a person think? What is a man who stands his ground? The donor won't be with you the other way around. Who is truly strong? He who conquers his own desires. The urge comes to me now to give him he restrains his urge. I feel like giving him he holds back. I feel like answering him back. He restrains himself. That's a hero. The sages say, the world stands on those who hold their tongue in a moment of conflict. The whole world stands upon him. What a hero. Do you know when King David is one of those who are a throne for the chariot. In the spiritual concepts of the Zohar, there is in the upper worlds a chariot, the holy chariot. And there are 3 pillars of the chariot, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Who was the 4th chosen to be the 4th leg of the chariot? David. When was he chosen? Our sages tell us. When did this happen? Pay attention. Only when we understand what this means, the greatness of King David. King David was a king. Yes, what is a king? He dealt with the greatest people of the world. Everyone was afraid of him. He was a hero. Just hearing the name David would make people tremble. He had 18 wives. A king is allowed up to 18 wives. He had wealth. Yes, I'm talking about when he reached great heights and suddenly his son Absalom came and decided to rebel against his father's kingship. His son Absalom, King David fled. Absalom came, did what he did with all of David's concubines in front of all the people. And he drove him out of the palace in Jerusalem. King David, wronged and with his head bowed, fled with the loyal soldiers who remained with him. Now think about King David. He's under pressure, extremely stressed with chaos all around him, right? And he's the king. Suddenly Doeg the Edomite appears. Doeg the Edomite was one of the descendants of King Saul. And he held a grudge against David. Because David supposedly took the kingship from Saul, Doeg came out to meet him and cursed him with a fierce curse. The sages say, what does fierce mean? It's an acronym for adulterer, Moabite, I know, murderer. He cursed him with all the abominations in the world. Now he's the king. Anyone who curses the king is liable for death. No trial, no Sanhedrin, nothing. The army's flesh and blood. There David, Joab, son of Zeruiah, says to him, my lord the king, let's kill him. He's rebelling against the monarchy. How can you curse the king? Aren't you ashamed? What does King David reply? Leave him. The Lord said to curse. The Lord told him to curse. What do you want? What is it with you, sons of Zeruiah, always wanting to kill? The Lord said to curse. If God didn't want him to curse me, the words wouldn't have come out of his mouth. Such strong faith. Everything is from God. Someone cut him off on the road. God just brought me this test now. Let me show you. Right now you're in this lesson. Yes, let me show you with an example. You're stressed on the road, on your way to work. You're running late. Someone cuts you off. God told me, Moses told him, go cut him off. This is a test from heaven. They say that at the very moment David said this, he became the 4th leg of the divine chariot. It was because of this statement that he was chosen, not because he won wars or was a hero or people trembled before him or he killed people and everyone was afraid. No, it was because he acknowledged what is true strength. At that very moment, when he held himself back, despite all the pressure and all the greatness, he was the king of Israel. God said to him, let him be. God said, accept this one. He is a hero. If a person is a hero in his marriage, in his family life, then naturally the love between the couple grows and increases. Naturally the respect for him increases. And naturally he fulfills his purpose in this world for this reason alone. That's why he came into the world. For this purpose he came into the world. Recognize it. If a person says, this is who I am, leave me alone, that's how it is, he should be careful not to lose her. Why? Because he is betraying his role. What does this is who I am, that's how it is mean? You came here to work on yourself. If a person says, I'm like this, that's how it is, and forgive me. What's the difference between a person and an animal? Why is an animal called a behemoth? Because the way it comes into the world is the way it leaves the world. It can't improve itself. Have you ever seen an angry dog suddenly decide to become calm? He can't. It's ingrained in him. He's an animal. The sages say a Jew who doesn't work on his character traits, a carcass is better than him. Why? Because a dead dog is called a carcass. A dead dog is a carcass. He finished his purpose. He didn't need to fix his character traits or anything. He had some purpose. To be here for 30 to 40 years, poor thing, to eat, to sleep in the streets, and that's it. He finished his purpose and he went to a world that is all. But a human being, what sets a person apart from an animal? He was given wisdom, understanding, and knowledge. The power of speech. You have the power of speech, which is what distinguishes man from beast. Through speech, you listen, you hear, you learn, you communicate. You came here to improve yourself, not to stay the same, to rise higher and higher in levels, not in money, not in livelihood, but in your personality, in the person within you, to become a beautiful human being. All right? If a person stays exactly the same without growing, the sages say, a carcass is actually better than him. So we see that even if a person has only 5 minutes left, and we have another 10 minutes to spare. We see that as much as a person. Let's sum it up at least so we leave here with something meaningful today. First of all, every single person, every individual has the potential to change. And we must realize that every moment we are given is a precious opportunity for growth and transformation. Every person in the world, and even more so a Jew, these are deeper matters. Just so you know, the soul of a Jew comes from a higher place, and therefore he has a greater need. That's also why if a Jew doesn't fulfill this need, he goes crazy and becomes worse than someone who isn't Jewish. Because his soul comes from loftier places. He has this need. Every person, and all the more so a Jew, has a need to love and to be loved. This is a subconscious need, rooted in the very essence of his soul, because he is a part of God above. And God, the Holy One, blessed be He, the spiritual being who created the entire infinite world, is entirely love. And how does one reach this? By giving. To give as much as possible, just as God only gives and bestows. By giving, not taking. To give even without the intention of receiving. By the way, this is where the concept of Kabbalah comes from. The teachings of Kabbalah speak about this. All of Kabbalah is about ethics. That's what all this Kabbalah is about. It's become trendy. That's nonsense. If you study Kabbalah and the Zohar in depth, the whole point is to give in order to receive, but not for the sake of receiving, and only then do you actually receive. The sages express this with a saying, whoever chases after honor, honor runs away from him. Do you want to receive honor? Run away from honor. With the divine being, He created a situation for us where everything is the opposite of what we think, because my thoughts are not your thoughts. Do you want love? And a person wants love, so he thinks, what will I get out of it? It's the opposite. What will you give? The more you give, the more love you will have. It's exactly the opposite of what we think. That's how it works. And the person chases. Someone learned that whoever runs away from honor, honor chases after him. That's what he heard in the sermon. So after a month, he comes to his rabbi and says, Rabbi, I tried what you said. I've been running away from honor for a month, but it's not chasing after me. The rabbi said to him, apparently you're looking to see. You need to run away not in order to receive, but to truly run away. It's the same with everything. If a person wants love, give, do the opposite of what you think. Don't think, what do I need to get? What do I need to take? Think, how much do I need to give, to invest? A tip, it's impossible without a tip. Something that really helped me too, when I understood everything I've just told you now. Yes, this is just the tip of the iceberg. It's much deeper and broader. When I understood all this, I said, wait, I also want for a match, not just to get married. I returned to Israel at the age of 33. I said, if that's the case, then I need to build myself for a real relationship, not like I used to think in the world I lived in. I started reading books on ethics, inviting myself to lectures, listening to discs like Rabbi Zamir Cohen's, how to be a better person, refining one's character traits, working on anger. I prepared myself for my match. What's the wisdom? The wisdom isn't just to get married. What comes next? People only think about getting married. They invest all their money in the wedding night. What's it worth if it doesn't last? The main thing isn't just to get married. The main thing is to live, to sustain married life forever, if possible. If possible, of course. That's what misleads people. From the start, people get married thinking, well, in a few years, this or that. What is that? What kind of nonsense is that? What's it worth? How many years of life do people lose to sorrow? And the sorrow affects a person's health. The sorrow caused by all sorts of difficult situations in unhealthy relationships. In a broken family unit, God forbid, may it not happen to anyone. All of this can be prevented. Instead of investing in medications, in psychologists, invest in yourselves. As our sages say, woe to me from my inclination, woe to me from my creator. A person goes out and looks for battles outside. Come on, the real battle is within each of us. His own inclination to fight it, to work on one's character traits, to correct them, to lower your head, to be humble. And believe me, when the right match comes, it will flow much more easily. Because what also complicates things for us in relationships, when people go on dates or meet someone, is also the ego, the selfishness. I want this and that and that. Why, who are you? Who are you? And she says, I want this because they see it in the movies, right? She sees some John Travolta. Excuse me, are you Olivia Newton-John? Everyone's living in movies here, but look. But know that the moment a person lets go and lowers their demands, I've been through this myself. Don't think I didn't lower my standards or compromise. Hashem will bring him 1,000 times more than he ever imagined. Because with Hashem, everything is the opposite of what you expect. Lower your head and I'll give you. Let go of your pride and I'll bless you. Let go of your desires and I'll bring you what you need. So with God's help, I bless everyone here that we should merit a quick and worthy match and that we should remember to be happy and joyful. May we merit to improve ourselves, yes, with happiness, joy and love. And I will distribute gifts of CDs to you.